Hey, attention. This will be a virtual meeting of the Marinwood CSD Board of Directors. There will not be a public location for participating in this meeting. Any interested member of the public can participate telephonically or via internet by using the web link or dial-in information printed on this agenda. Instructions on how to make a public comment during the meeting. At points in the meeting when the meeting chair requests public comment, members of the public participating in the live meeting, either via internet or telephone, shall indicate their desire to speak. If participating via internet, please click the raise hand feature located within the Zoom application screen. If connected via telephone, please dial *9. All public comments shall be addressed to the Board of Directors and limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The Board of Directors may choose to respond to comments or request staff to respond at the conclusion of the public comment period. Welcome, Kathleen, you're just in time. All right, moving on to call to order and roll call of directors. Tiffany, will you do us the honors of roll calling?
I think she's frozen.
I think so. Either that or she's deep in thought.
Without blinking.
All right.
Got a really good poker face.
I'll say best I've ever seen.
Yeah,
all right. Well, then
I can do the role if you want.
Awesome.
We'll
Please.
write this
Thank you.
down. Board President Ruggieri.
Here.
Boy, now I got to figure out the whole alphabetical order of everything. Are you back, Tiffany? Oh, good.
I think
She's
so.
back.
Good.
Sorry.
Board President Ruggieri's here. I'll let you take it from there.
Oh, excellent. I will note that. Board, nope. Director Case.
Here.
Director Kilkenny.
Here.
Director Oiserman.
Here.
And Director Shea. I had to remember alphabetizing. There. Director
Ashley,
Shea.
I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. The agenda, any comments on the agenda or amendments? None? All right, so then agenda is adopted. All right, moving to item C, consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve?
A motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Excellent. Any comments or questions from the board? Okay. Any comments or questions from the public?
Yeah, 1 second, please. Hold on. Stephen.
Hello. Yeah, I have a question and comment for the agenda as well as the consent calendar. So I will take them separately. I guess it was just an oversight, Lisa.
Apologies. Thank you.
So, every week or every month, items for the agenda come up. I bring up some, other people bring up some, but for whatever reason, they never get placed in the agenda. And I'm wondering, why that is, because, these are concerns brought in good faith before the board. And I actually think that, to be a good representative, you should at least give consideration to some of the issues. I brought up issues such as accessibility, access to rentals for people outside our community, the illegal use of alcohol in our parks, maintenance issues, especially in the open space areas not directly around the community center. And, you know, these are legit concerns, but they never seem to get brought up. And in fact, this last month, we didn't have the Park and Rec Commission, which I'm sure Eric will have some kind of remark on that. There was no announcement. And, you know, if you're a public body, you have to engage the public, be public. And, you know, this is a democratic process. So I don't feel like adequate attention is being given to legit concerns. So that's for the agenda. As far as the consent calendar, I went down and looked at some of the expenses. One of the things that popped out at me was the cost for entertainment for our summer camps. And it's like $1,000 here. And I don't know what these entertainments are. It seems like a lot of money for, you know, I don't know, a DJ. I actually don't know what the entertainments are. So but I am kind of curious if these expenses are deemed necessary. Maybe they're good value. Honestly, I don't know anything about them, but they did pop out because they're quite a bit. Also, who is doing the booking? Is that something that is also done through Bill Hansel's artist representation side business? Kind of like to know a little bit more how the money gets spent and whether this is a good use of taxpayer resources. So I don't know if you can specifically comment on those now or you want to comment on them later, but I'd certainly like to hear a response. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. I don't know. So
Can I make a slight statement after Stephen said before we get into this? I would like, I really appreciate everything you said, Stephen, and thank you for bringing these things up. When you're bringing these things up, please refrain from throwing people's names in. I don't want Bill throwing your name in to say stuff. Bill shouldn't be thrown into your statements. Anybody else in the public who comes and comments should not be using this forum to drag other people's names through. You could have just said, I would like to know who's booking these without throwing Bill's name in there. That was just not appropriate. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Siobhan. And I guess just perhaps we could address the line item surrounding the entertainment. I don't see exactly which line item it is.
Should that be under, once we do the Luke talk about that when he talks about the camps, but in general, everything that's billed for camp is part of the tuition that people are paying for camp. And
right. Yes, of course, there's definitely going to be a surplus when we look at the revenue that comes in from camp tuition.
I'm happy to speak to some of the expenditures if you guys want. I mean, we do it now, or I didn't address any of that during my report.
Yeah, I'm happy to address it really quickly too.
Yeah, just really quickly.
Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, so throughout the summer camp program, not every week, but throughout the summer, we do we hire a small number of different entertainers or special presenters to come in and do special presentations to some of the different camps. Yeah, usually it's to the whole camp program. They cycle through, and it's an all-day situation because we have so many kids. They can only be in one group at a time or a couple of groups at a time. So the entertainers are there for a very long period of time. And that does end up, racking up how much we're paying them. But this will be things from, a special magic show by, a local magician to someone bringing in exotic reptiles that the kids get to learn about and see and hold and get to, find out about that. It's like an educational situation. We do sometimes have a DJ come and the kids get to do karaoke and have a dance party. So these are different things we do just to mix it up. Usually it's once every other week that we have something like this take place at the camps. And yeah, we feel that we're getting a good value for the money that we're spending in order to bring a special element to our camps. And it's something that the kids and the parents have shared a lot of feedback that they really appreciate and enjoy. So if there's any specific question about a specific expenditure for one of these entertainment groups, I could try to answer that, but I'd have to talk to Robin, probably, who actually books the entertainment. She knows a little bit more about what the specifics are on that, but I can find more out if anyone has a specific question.
Great. Thank you, Luke.
The only thing I would add is these are all planned and budgeted as part of the entire summer planning and budgeting process. They're incorporated into the planned costs.
Oh, that's right.
And these are just costs that when you run a summer camp, this is part of it.
Okay,
Right,
thank
sorry,
you.
Bill.
So Bill has his hand up. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to make a mention about item B, the agenda. That's really anything on the agenda that needs to be moved or erased for one reason or another, not complaining about what is on the agenda or isn't on the agenda.
Thank you for the clarification, Bill. All right, so with that, let's take a vote.
Yes, let's do that. I'm not frozen. Board President Ruggieri,
Aye.
Director Case,
Aye.
Director Kilkenny,
Aye.
Director Oiserman,
Hi.
and Director Shea.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to item D, public comment, open time for items not on the agenda.
Yeah, 1 second, please. Stephen.
Yes, so it's summer, we're in the midst of summer. Some of you have taken vacations. Some are planning vacations right now. And every time you want to do something special and go on a vacation, you need to go through the planning process. And the planning process is we agree on where we want to go and you know, how much is it going to cost? You know, what factors do we need to have in place? And then doing the things necessary to get off and have a good time with our family. Likewise, we need to do that if we want to get anywhere as a district, and not, instead of meeting here to say, hey, good job, guys, but to really plan forward for the future. And so, you know, I would hope that we would keep focus on that. I do want to address a couple of comments because I always seem to get a retort to what if I say something mildly controversial. First is Siobhan's comment that I shouldn't mention Bill Hansel, and I agree. There's nothing personal here, but he is somebody that we do a lot of business with in the district. And I think it is a good education for us to know how and where our money is being spent. Secondly, Bill Shea's comment that I should say something that he finds agreeable regarding the agenda. And I think maybe there's a misunderstanding there because you know, quite frankly, if you're not putting stuff on the agenda, if you're not addressing things, Bill, that goes directly to your representation for this district. I would hope that you would take into account any comments that you get from the public, not just me, and make appropriate adjustments to the agenda as needed. You know, quite frankly, I think if you're serious and you want to contribute to this community, you will look for ways to move forward as a whole community, not just simply a board that meets once a month and says, good job, guys, time to go home. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Moving on to district matters. Items 1 and 2. You, Eric?
Yeah, let's address the fiscal year end financial reporting for 19 or for 21, 22. I gave you guys a pretty detailed report. Obviously, there's some detailed financial statements in here. I'm not going to go through the entire report, just some of the things I did want to point out to put these in greater context. Obviously, the profit and loss statement is solely looks at the operating revenue and expenditures as budgeted for the fiscal year, and then performance against the original budget. This is not a balance sheet or anything like that. This is simply a profit and loss statement. Looking at what the numbers were, I had a little note in here that the ongoing public health situation does still impact the budget in this and the actuals. And in this case, it kind of had a reverse impact where for the past, couple of years, we've had to scale back from what was originally planned. This year, we had something planned in a final approved budget in May of 2021. And we had a lot of changes that occurred from that point forward that actually loosened a lot of the restrictions. So the result was we were able to maximize, especially on the recreation side, program participations that did result in higher expenditures because we're serving more kids, having more staff working, but it also resulted in significantly greater revenue gains than we had incurred expenditures. For the fiscal year, the total operating revenue exceeded operating expenses by approximately $1.4 million on the year. That's just performance for the year. There are some bullet points that talk about the impact of taxes, as well as, we got a nice windfall when we applied and received, just under $340,000 in COVID relief funding that is represented here. So if you take away the COVID funding, we're still over $1 million in the black for this. Again, recreation program is, really what drove it, is it far exceeded our budgeted projections that when we plan for our rec programs, that's occurring in March of 2021. So at that point in time, a lot changed, and it enabled us to serve more youths, open more programs, serve more people, which obviously results in greater finances on both sides of the equation. I do have a note in here about some of the items that were booked as account payable and account receivables. You can certainly see what those are there. The other thing I wanted to explain briefly is, we book at the end of the year a little over $820,000 in deferred unearned revenue. What that means is we took in revenue prior to 6/30 for programs and services that are offered on 7/1 or later. So technically, we don't earn that revenue. If we cancel those programs, let's say, we have to return that revenue. So that money is deferred on the books from the year that it was actually received, which would have been 21-22, to being earned in 22-23. And at $820,500, it's a decent chunk of change that gets deferred, and that's exclusive to recreation revenue. Not only summer camps and programs, but pool and memberships and swim lessons and everything else, tennis classes, all that. You can see what our operational budget capital expenditures were. I do have in here, it's not part of the operational budget because it's a large capital expenditure, but I did want to certainly include an update on spending for the maintenance facility. Obviously, the district took out a 10-year loan in the amount of $650,000 last July. In total, we expended about 1.16 million on this project during the year. Of those, 319,000 and change were taken from our available Measure A funds. The remaining 847,610 were used from our general fund. And as of the current date, we actually still have remaining about $115,000 in our Measure A fund, which will help and work towards the courtyard project, which we'll talk about later in the meeting. So kind of just, concluding this, we did have a nice, strong financial performance again at June 30th. The cash balance in our district fund was approximately $7.53 million. That's an increase of just over 1.6 million from the same point in time last year, June 30, 2021. To give this a little context, our total budgeted expenditures for the current fiscal year of 22-23 are approximately 6.17. So we've been able to build the general fund to an amount that now exceeds the planned expenditures for the upcoming fiscal year, while also completing a long overdue major capital project, establishing or contributing to our OPEB trust that also has a current value of over $500,000. So in all, we have finished the year pretty good. I'm definitely satisfied with how the financials look for this year, mixing in all of those projects and even taking on some of the debt that we took on to finish that project as well. So any questions, I'm happy to answer them. At the end of the financial statements, there's just some other kind of summary notes about some specific accounts where maybe the variance needed a little bit of explaining. So I added those in. Any questions or comments, I am happy to field them from the board.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Any questions from the board?
I just want to clarify. So the 1.4 that we got is basically June's camp revenues. But then in addition to that, there's the 820,500 that is moving over for next year because of the fact of the way that we do our billing and payment received before they can't come in through camp. So it's camp earned us more than 820. It's 820 plus, right?
Sure, but it's not the 1.4 million that we
Right.
netted. I mean, that
Right.
1.4 is spread across the entire department, and that's a result of total revenue over
Right.
total expenditures for, park, rec, fire, street lights.
Right. I just
and everything.
want to clarify so that people are understanding that. Okay.
Yeah, and that's again strictly operational. That doesn't take into account the loan amount, taking on the added debt, and it doesn't take into account the building project either. That's just our budgeted operational revenue versus expense.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else from the board?
I mean, I guess, and I have a kind of a forward-looking question. Do we think that next year, assuming things are going in about the same as we are now with COVID up and downs, that we should project about the same minus the 330 that we got for COVID relief, about the same, or are we thinking that we're going to grow again next year? Do we have any thoughts?
That's a very hard question to answer, and unfortunately with a crystal ball, what I will say is, obviously when I budget and when, the staff works on this, we budget very conservatively on the revenue side and a little bit more aggressively on the expenditure side. And we tend to usually come in under expenditures and over on revenue, just to play it safe, to make sure that we're not overextending what we think we're going to bring in terms of revenue versus what we think are going to need to spend. So it's, I would say in our trend, I mean, we've been, this is a very good year. A lot of that's buoyed by that $337,000. But if you look at our trends over the last several years, 4+ years or so, I'd say we've been netting, anywhere from 700,000 to 1.2 million in additional revenue. Again, I think to really properly put this into context, you have to look at, we still have other liabilities, and we're still going through these stages where things are going to be presented to the board. A couple months ago, we showed the big picture of our capital needs. This month, right now, it's our year-end financials. Next month, we'll have our latest OPEB actuarial report presented. The month after that, we're going to review our pension liabilities. So, all of those are still large liabilities, but that gives you the big picture of here's where the district currently stands from a financial perspective. And then we're also shooting to have, trying our darndest and working with the audit firm to see if we can get the audit done a little bit sooner in the year as well. And that'll give the board a good understanding of, okay, we've managed to grow our general fund to a point that's sustainable and secure by having as much in our general fund as we have in a given, in the upcoming spending year.
Yeah.
We're paying down these liabilities by contributing to the OPEB trust. We're still building these board designated reserves. Where do you go with that? And that'll be a deeper conversation, because there are ways to address some of these larger liabilities. Do you put more towards the OPEB trust? Do you start to look at potentially establishing a similar trust to address pension liabilities? But again, I wouldn't even want to start having those conversations until
Until
these
we
other
have-
pieces have been presented and understood, and the board has a firm grasp on the most current data available for all of that. Then I think you start saying, okay, we're in a much more sound financial position. We should start addressing these liabilities, because they don't go away. They're not red herrings. They're real liabilities. So it's you can really start to make some sound. I certainly have some thoughts behind it, and I will certainly make some suggestions and recommendations when we get to that point. But ultimately, how the board wants to invest or address these liabilities is a decision, to be authorized and approved by the board.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, Eric. Bill, your hand's up.
Yes, I do. I want to go and pat somebody on the back for this financial statement, because when I came on board, the $1.4 million in the red was horridly in the minus. It's been a long, long time since we've seen a stronger financial position that this district has had in the last, oh God, you can go back 15, 20 years. In the last 5 years, though, it has been improving each and every year. And I have to give credit where credit is due, and that's Eric and his team that works under him, Luke and Robin and Carolyn and Tiffany. I just, and JP. It's a great team. Everyone works well together, and I'm gonna go pat everybody on the back for this one.
I appreciate that, Bill. I would also, I know the rec is easy to spot, but I gotta include, the fire captains and the people at the fire department too, because they've been much more involved in understanding what goes into the budget, how the budget works, being a part of putting it together than I think they ever were in the past. And they're much more cognizant of spending and how revenue works. So it really is a team effort. And I appreciate that you mentioned Luke and all of the rec team. The park guys, I think, have a better understanding of what's going on. And it's just being very open and inclusive in how budgets are created, what goes into them, what we're planning on spending, what we have to spend. And it's a nice atmosphere, and I appreciate that everybody's more than willing to jump in and do their fair share in working on this. So thanks for the comments, Bill. They're appreciated.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Bill. Any other comments from the board or questions? No. All right. How about the public?
Sure. 1 second. Stephen.
Yeah, I will also say to join Bill in the sentiment that we're in a much better position than we have been for years, and Eric has brought greater focus to the financial health of the district than we've had in a long time. However, I'm going to not go all the way because there are some other factors that need to be looked into. Our camps have been doing well, as they should. We have the best camps in Marin. Our real estate taxes have come way up. And then there, of course, then there's all kinds of grants that we have been recipients of. So these are good on the revenue side. On the expense side, I'm not as thrilled with the way that we manage our businesses. I think, you contracted for the most expensive maintenance shed project in Marin County history. Just a few months ago, you approved what, $400,000 for 90 feet of fences. Should cost you $200 a foot, and it's costing the district $3,000 a foot. There was only one bidder. In terms of business, I don't think that was planning for business. You know, we're kind of fat and lazy in this district. Life is good. We've got good staff, good revenue, but we just need to take more advantage of our blessings and do a little bit more. Why aren't we fixing our fountains, our picnic tables? This is a statement of values. So I'm not 100% on board. However, I do wish to give credit for our staff, because they do in general do an excellent job. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephen, for your comment. All right, so moving on to the district manager report.
Yeah, great. Actually, a pretty good segue. In here is an update, as was requested at the last meeting, on the maintenance facility courtyard constructions. Without reading this kind of word for word, obviously, the proposed bid for the construction of both courtyards, we got a sole bid that did come in at a little over 460,000. Working with the contractor, kind of clarifying all of the scope of work aesthetics to it. Aspects to it, as well as value engineering opportunities, which actually led to the notice of a potential deficiency in the drainage of the western courtyard, which was kind of a civil engineered design, and resulted in an enhanced drainage system. Even with that, we were able to get total cost on this project to date down by a little over $26,000 from what was originally bid. So I will have to say, Massa Construction and Ken Massa have been incredibly great to work with. They've been very open. They have thoughts, and when they do, they're very forthright in sharing them, just to make sure that, hey, we're aware these guys do a lot of these types of projects. I got to clarify again, we're not building a fence. This is in no way, shape, or form simply putting up a fence. There's a lot that goes into this project, between the grading, the engineering, there's retaining walls, there's drainage aspects, there is cement foundations, there's roadways that come into there, there's surfacing, there is the full 9 yards. If we were building simply a fence, then it would be in my backyard. It's not. This is part of a corporate maintenance facility. So that needs to really be kind of taken into context and understood and appreciated for exactly what the project is. With that said, the project is moving along. We certainly anticipate still being able to have all of that work done by the end of September, which has always been our timeline on this. When most of the heavy work is done and the heavy equipment is able to get out, then staff will be able to, kind of focus on some more of the landscape aspects of it, some of the plantings that we're planning on putting in there. And once we get through that, we'll also turn our focus a little bit more towards the pedestrian pathway. Understandably, the focus right now has been on these courtyards and working on these, and there's really nothing that can happen with the pathway until those foundation walls are put into place and the retaining walls on the north side are put into place, because there's just too much traffic going through there at this point in time to put in a pathway. Very brief update on the Miller Creek Trail. As we spoke last time, we have an informal agreement with the developer on a cost share, looking at basically what it would cost to do that. I have spoken with legal. They're a little backed up. This isn't a super high priority, so I didn't want to push them on that, because that way when we do need to push them, they respond a lot better. But they are drawing up a formal agreement for this financial contribution towards this. So I certainly wanted to mention that. As soon as I get it, review it, finalize it with legal, we'll send it off for review and execution with the developer. And then just a couple other items of note. We talked about it earlier, but we have engaged our financial year audit with RJ Ricciardi. So that is already starting to get underway. And we've also received and reviewed all of the updated tax rolls for our special taxes and special assessments, the park tax, fire tax, streetlights, as received from the County Department of Finance. So everything at this point in time has been submitted, and we are done with that process for the upcoming fiscal year. I did want to mention one other thing that's not in my report. Without getting into too much detail, obviously, shortly, once summer kind of concludes and looking at it, and we can get this other massive capital project, we're going to really start turning our focus to the playground replacement project, with, an ideal goal of, in a perfect world, being able to complete that prior to next year's summer camps and activities. Although we don't have a final completion requirement deadline until December of 2023. But I did want to acknowledge, I brought this up a while back. The Case family has long had a family foundation known as Kelly's Wishes. And we had mentioned a while back that they were looking at dissolving that foundation and making a very generous contribution to the district to be designated for use towards the playground replacement project. They have done that, and in fact, just earlier this week, received that contribution, and it totaled $11,500 from the Kelly's Wishes Foundation, and obviously the Case family. It's incredibly generous. It's incredibly humbling. Chris, obviously, this is a big part of your life and your family's life, and I just wanted to make sure that got its just due, because by the time this came into my hands, this report had already gone out, and it's just an incredibly thoughtful gesture to put towards this. One of the things I will most likely be bringing to the board is that this will potentially springboard other people who might want to contribute to this project. And one of the questions that had come up is, if people can designate this funding. The simple answer to that is yes, but to make it formal, I think what I'm going to wind up doing is drawing up a resolution that the board will adopt that says, we will accept contributions and direct the district staff to track and monitor all contributions and ensure that all contributions received are applied towards this project. And just kind of makes it a little bit more official. Anybody who contributes, obviously, we'll send them a personalized thank you note. That'll also include our tax ID, and we'll, hand sign all of those and make sure that everybody who does contribute, their contributions are recognized. So that resolution will probably come within the next meeting or two, but primarily I just really wanted to touch on the Case family and everybody who's involved with the Kelly's Wishes Foundation on just making an incredibly thoughtful contribution towards this project and thinking of the playground in this way. I know the playground has significance for their family as well. So Chris, and please, with everybody who's involved in that foundation, our deepest heartfelt thank you for that, and make sure everybody understands how appreciative and how humbled we are to be thought of in such a way.
Thanks, Eric. We're really happy to do it. And that money really represents the whole neighborhood. Our family name just happens to be on it. So thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Just again, wanted to say thank you to the Case family and Kelly's Foundation. But I was wondering if we're going to be doing kind of what you're saying, if we want people to donate, we'll give them a lot of appreciation. Is it possible, depending on what we decide on for the playground, to maybe have a spot with little plaques?
I think
or
all of
not
that could be
plaques, or like,
discussed.
yeah.
I'm not saying it's impossible, just that we haven't gotten to that level of detailed discussion yet.
Okay. Because I was thinking it'd be kind of cool, because then we could, advertise that also if we wanted to.
Yeah, bigger
Recognize donors.
conversation
Yeah.
and process and figuring out how exactly to do it. Not impossible, but just a conversation we haven't gotten into great detail on yet.
Okay.
I'll echo the thanks for the contribution. It's just incredible. So I know, and Chris, you're very, very humble in sharing that this is representative of the community. But I very generous, so I'm very appreciated. So thank you.
Can I have a
That's
different
fine.
question?
Go ahead.
Can I ask about the trail update? It's kind of like the bigger picture. So I know that the legal is looking at that. Do we know how the work is going on? I've seen all the dust and the clearing up that they've been doing on the road. So do we know if their work is moving forward so that we could possibly start on this trail?
I actually, and I might be mistaken, but I think you're talking about two different projects.
Oh,
All
that's
the
right.
dust
I'm
in the
sorry.
road is the housing development that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the senior living development.
Right, and that's
I
the
don't know.
other,
I haven't gotten an update from the developer, but I would say at this point in time, given that they haven't broken ground and that the environmental regulatory agencies in the county have a, pretty hard work stop date of October 15th for work involving the creeks and waterways. It's looking highly unlikely that they're going to have that bridge in place and start the work on the road until next spring.
okay, I didn't know where the dust was coming from, if it was the bridge and like all that movement, or if it was just the housing development. So that's why I was
all from the
asking.
housing development.
Okay, that was just like my general, I have no idea, I just see lots of dust question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Can I connect to Savon's question really fast? Then Eric, for the form that's being drawn up, I think we had a short discussion about if out of our control, that project were to get pushed, which looks like it will be, and it totally makes sense. We were going to build in, and I'm obviously not legal, but we were going to build in a clause that said, if, based on expected inflation or something like that, that whatever money we were asking them.
I spoke to legal about that and asked that they included some language to that effect.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It was a very good idea. Well, I don't know the developer will like it very much, but it was a good idea.
Any other questions, comments from the board? All right, seeing none. Questions, comments from the public?
Yeah, 1 second, please. Stephen.
Yes, I would also like to join others in thanking the Case family for their generous donations, not only for this project that we have envisioned, but also things that they've supported in years past. Having lost a brother myself, I can't even imagine, losing a child. My heart really goes out to the family because I know the pain of their loss. But in any event, because the Case family has been so helpful for our community, I would love to see that we don't just have a plaque. Don't just have a plaque, but maybe some sort of customized plaque or some sort of artwork, something unique and special to celebrate the joy of childhood, as well as Kelly. And I just think, and that takes a little bit of time. That's not a last minute thing. And so maybe you guys can think of a way to move that particular aspect of the remembrance forward. I don't know what kind of budgets we're looking at, but I would think something that is just maybe a step above just thank you from the Case family would be appropriate. And I would love to see something of focus, community interest, unique to Marinwood. With regards to all these projects that we're doing, one of the aspects that we hadn't anticipated when Eric came aboard is how many capital projects we would be doing. And I got to say, especially with this maintenance project and some of these other things, I find the expenses are like way out of control. And I think we need a little bit more discipline in the contracting and process, as well as oversight. It just seems like we're on the receiving end of some very unfavorable deals for the taxpayers. So maybe the board can discuss how you can achieve a little bit better performance for the taxpayers as far as these projects, so expenses don't go totally out of control. That's it.
Thanks, Stephen. Okay, then moving on to item F, fire department matters. So I guess that would be you, Kathleen. Director Kilkenny.
Hello. So we discussed, of course, the eucalyptus trees, and we were told again that it's not really a fire issue or a concern, not an issue, a concern from fire professionals. And so now what we're kind of just doing is expressing to the fire commission to call the county and kind of put pressure on the county. So if you feel the need to, if you have a problem with them, please call the county so it doesn't come up again in another fire commission meeting. And then the other thing that we discussed, which is on our agenda as well, is to change the meetings, to amend the bylaws to bi-monthly meetings, and every commissioner was really in support of it, knowing that if there's an incident or anything that they want to bring up, that they can call a meeting, or Eric can call a meeting, or even the fire chief, or, you know, we can all come together on an off meeting. So I think that's really it. Did I miss something, Eric?
Should we provide the numbers so that if anybody on the board or the members of public who are here can call that
That would
number?
be Eric.
I can email it out. I don't have it written
Okay.
down immediately in front of me, but I can email it out.
Yeah.
You mean we haven't memorized it yet?
No, it's the County DPW Roads Division.
Was that it? That was the main,
From this meeting,
Besides-
yeah.
yeah. So,
Okay.
and are you gonna cover Chief's White report?
Briefly.
Perfect.
Right. That'll be item 3. All right, so any questions, comments about the draft minutes of the fire commission meeting? Board. All right, hearing none. Any from the public?
Yeah, 1 second, please. Stephen.
So I guess, you know, we'll get into this. The fire commission, or the Park and Rec Commission didn't meet again this next month. And I'd like to point out that the purpose of public meetings is to inform the public, you know, or the public has an opportunity to find out what's actually happening in their community. And it's really, really hard when they don't meet on a regular basis and we don't get proper records of the meetings, and there's no videotape. And I question why we even bother. Are we just giving these handful of people the authority to make decisions on behalf of the entire community and never question anything? It kind of, you know, I think maybe you guys need to take a look at both the fire commission and the Park and Rec Commission and figure out how you can do this better. I'm sure there's a reason why people don't want these meetings recorded. I don't think it's a good reason. I think it's perhaps people don't want to be caught in saying something wrong, or maybe even worse, looking bad. You know, I'm sorry, you know, this is public business. So I'm disappointed that we're cutting down access to the fire commission, but be that what it may, that's what you decided.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
Stephen. Thank you.
May I make one comment? I just want to make a correction in what Stephen said, is that these commissions don't have the power to make decisions. They have the power to put forth an opinion and a recommendation to the board, but it is this board that makes the decisions from both commissions, not the actual commissioners. I just want to correct that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director Kilkenny, for the clarification. So that actually leads us quite nicely into item 2, potential amendment to the Fire Commission bylaws, adjusting regular meeting schedule from monthly to bi-monthly. Do I hear a motion?
I motion to move these meetings to bi-monthly.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I'll second that.
Could I ask for a little bit of a clarification on that, because these are your formal bylaws for the
Okay.
commission, and within the report, yeah, basically to adopt the amendment as
Correct.
presented.
I make the motion to amend the bylaws to meet, for the Fire Commission to meet on the even months of a calendar year, bi-monthly, with the
As
presented.
as presented.
As
You
presented.
just read number 2.
There you go. Chris, it's all you. Just kidding. So,
Did you
Okay,
actually read number 2?
well, I presented it as presented.
All right, as presented, I will second that.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just, there's language in here. So what you're doing is you're obviously approving what the language does, but ultimately you're approving the language because this is how the bylaws will be amended.
Correct. In Article A and B. Mhm.
all right. Very good, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? All right,
I'm sorry, I just have one quick one. What would be the channel through which either a commissioner or a director or a staff member would officially ask for an extra meeting?
Well, it's funny you would say that, Chris, because that's actually written in here as under Part B for special meetings. And it talks about how special meetings can be called, maybe called by the chairperson, by 3 members of the commission, or by the board. And then it just talks about public notice and everything else. So obviously, if something were to come up, say a board member has something like, hey, this has come up. I know you don't meet again for another 2 months. Can we get a meeting in between that? You'd probably be best served sending that to me. I would share that with the chairperson, and the chairperson can call a meeting. We would, since now we'll have open Tuesdays on the first Tuesday of every month, that would be the preferred date. Otherwise, it's just a matter of coordinating schedules on my part with all of the commissioners to see who's available and make sure we can ensure a quorum for a given date and time.
Perfect. Just wanted to have that clarified out loud.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
all right, anything from the public? I see a hand up.
Yeah, 1 second, please. Oh, I think a hand just went down.
Oh, all right. Nothing from the public then.
Oh, now it's back up. It's like a.
I think he takes it down when you bring him into the chat.
I don't know. 1 second.
it
Let's
just
just
came
see what he's
down.
got. 1 second. Stephen.
Thank you, Eric, for catching that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Well, it's so frustrating. Kathleen, you and I actually agree on a lot of things, but unfortunately, the way that the dialogue goes in these meetings, you make your comments, which, leave half the conversation out. I don't have a chance to respond. So I am going to respond right now. I do understand that the Fire Commission is an advisory commission as well as a Park and Rec Commission. My main point, however, which you did not address, and I hope I'm actually directing this to the entire board, is how do you make the process of decision-making public. It's not hard. I mean, you just hit record and it's done. This is what county does. This is what all kinds of communities do. And you resist this, and it does not give us confidence that we're getting stuff done in the most effective and efficient manner. So I would hope that you would take the obligation as public representatives to be public and insist that recordings get made, and we have some sort of accountability, because right now there's none. And I know that in all earnestness that you do try to represent what happens at these meetings, but it's not a substitute for an actual record. It's always going to be an interpretation of what happened. So that was my comment. So thank you.
Right. Thank you, Stephen. All right, that said, can we have a vote, please?
Board President Ruggieri,
Aye.
Director Case,
I,
Director Kilkenny,
Aye.
Director Oiserman,
Aye.
and Director Shea.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item number 3, Chief Officer Report and Activity Summary.
Yeah, I can cover this very briefly here. I do want to say Chief White certainly apologized that he wasn't able to be here tonight. He is currently away out of town on a personal matter. He actually informed me quite a while back that he would be away on this meeting. As far as his report goes, if there's any questions about anything specific in here, I can do my best to either answer them or pass them on to Chief White. The one thing I did want to point out, because it's actually something that I'm certainly excited about. There was a lot of work that was recently now finally completed up on Queenstone Fire Road that helped to clear some of the vegetation growing into the road, make it a more passable fire road for apparatus and other fire structures. All of this work was actually funded through the core funding of the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority. This didn't come out of our individualized buckets. Yet Centerfell did all of the work in coordinating the crews, identifying exactly where it needs to go. I did take one trip up there as we kind of looked at everything and marked off the spots. They helped us with a couple trees that were precarious, that had fallen, that were really close to the side of the road and made it a little tricky to get around. This was a lot of work that happened up there with little impact to the environment. And they kind of led on the environmental study, on the crew, on everything that got done. So if you're ever in the mood for a very steep hike, I would suggest walking out Queenstone, because the condition of the road right now is just phenomenal. And when you compound that with all of the work we did in the lower lying areas of that open space, abutting up next to all of the residences, that area is vastly improved, not only for access, but just for the prevention efforts. So, a large thank you to them for all of that work. Otherwise, within the chief report, you can kind of see what's happening here. Again, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them the best I can. And we can just kind of take it from there.
Great. Thanks, Eric. Any comments or questions from the board?
I just wanted to echo what you said, Eric. I happened to take a hike up Queenstone on Saturday with a bunch of people, and we were all commenting on it's the best that trail has looked in memory. And we hike up there quite a bit, so it was great to see.
Good, thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
Right. Anything from the public?
Sure, one second. Stephen.
Yeah, so Chief White's not here tonight, so I'm going to take advantage of this to bring up the fact that that Chief White is basically someone we're renting from San Rafael, and we have an agreement with the city of San Rafael. We're paying them as opposed to for many, many years, they paying us. And I do think we should not necessarily accept our current situation as the most optimal configuration for firefighting that we could have. In other words, should a full merger take place? Should we contract out with CAL FIRE? I think that always has to be looked at and considered. I don't know how much the citizens of Marinwood pay for fire service versus the city of San Rafael. I suspect we pay a lot more per household. And, you know, maybe for the long-term prospects, we should have a different arrangement than we currently have. So that's all I had to say.
Okay. All right, thank you for your comment, Stephen. All right, with that, we can move to park and recreation matters.
Thank you, Lisa, and everyone. Hello. I'm just going to touch on a few things on my report. The big thing to update everyone on is just we're in our last week of our summer camp program this week, and things have it's been a challenging summer, but things have gone ultimately very well. The main challenge has been, as most of you probably assume, has been with just the constant dealing with COVID absences all the time. Many staff out each week and different campers out each week. Made things a little chaotic, more than we were expecting. But I'm really pleased with how everyone was able to rally, and we were able to, move things around and keep everything going in spite of some of those groups getting shaken up a little bit in terms of who's working each day. But ultimately, we were able to offer a pretty standard summer camp program this summer in spite of all of those challenges. And I threw some numbers on here. I'm not going to read all of it out, but I like to just kind of see what we're doing each year. And so I pulled some of these out for just for your interest. But we ran 9 weeks of summer camp this summer. We ran 13 different age groups in our day camp program, and then another 10 to 12 specialty camps, like half day enrichment programs, like art camps, Lego, sports camps, and things that kids could do in conjunction with our day camps or just by themselves. And we served almost 950 unique children this summer between the ages of 3 years to kids entering 7th grade. Another 100 CITs, middle school age kids that worked in our program, and then employed around 150 staff members in our camp program, high school and college age kids, mostly from the neighborhood and nearby areas. So let's put that out there just to kind of characterize kind of what our program is what kinds of people, how many people we're really dealing with. And the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive. The parents have been really appreciative to see things go back to normal, see us add in field trips, the special events, and just be accommodating a larger number of kids in each group. So I'm really pleased that we were able to do that. It definitely took a little bit more work than we were expecting going into it, but I'm really pleased with how it's gone. And we're just plowing through these last few days, and the staff morale is actually really high, and everyone's just really pleased with how the summer's gone. So that's great news. I'm happy with that, and we'll update everyone as we crunch all the numbers, and we'll have some reports coming up in the next few months showing kind of how we did financially with all of that. But we were pretty much full in most of our camps for the entirety of the summer, so that was really great. We also, just as like a bonus, Stephen said this already, I don't know if he was referencing this, but Marin Magazine voted us best summer day camp in Marin and Bay Area this year. So we just heard that last week, and they're having a little reception this week. We're going to try to make it out to that, so I'll let you know how that goes if we end up making it to that. The pool season is chugging along. We've got a couple more weeks of the summer season, and then we transition to our fall schedule, and we'll be open until October 7th, which is around when we normally shut down for the off season. And we made some tweaks to the pool schedule, and most of that has gone really well. We've had really good attendance at all of our programs. It hasn't been way too crowded. We haven't gotten complaints about overcrowding in the lap swim lanes or anything like that. So I think the schedule has worked well, and our changes that we've made have done well. We'll reevaluate all that as we do our post summer powwow to kind of see how everything went. But I added a couple numbers in here. Just we offered 400 or swim lessons to 400 unique swimmers this year, and had about 60 guards in training. And then I didn't put this on there, but we employed around 60 staff members for the pool this year. And so that's going really well, and we're looking forward to a strong fall season. And I'll continue to update you guys on how all that goes. The staff is transitioning right now into working on our fall schedule. We've been working on it for a while, but I'm really pleased to be able to return to some of our adult programming that was on hold during the last 2 years of COVID. And so we're excited to get some things back. We'll be offering our photography program. We're working on getting a language arts class. We'll have some Pilates and fitness classes, our tennis program, some art classes, and some other things going on for adults. And then for the youth, we'll have some Lego classes, dance, taekwondo, sports, art, and then we'll be offering our preschool and after school programs again, as well as some camps during the school breaks. So a big return to normal for our fall programming this fall that we're excited about. We'll be announcing the details as we have those all finalized. So that's what's going on in the recreation department. Once summer ends, we all get together. We have a big cleanup, a big kind of debrief session with our staff before they head back to college. And we start making plans for next year just while everything's fresh in our heads. And so that'll be coming up in the next week or two. We're excited about that. On the park maintenance side of things, the staff continue to spend time out at Creekside Park. That's a park that we haven't spent a lot of time at while we didn't have a full staff, but we took advantage of now having a full staff to get out there during the summer to really improve things. That park is on fresh water, so we're making a big effort to reduce the amount of watering we have to do out there and go into a much more drought tolerant planting situation. So we took out the turf, and we're going to be putting in just some like drought tolerant plants and simplifying some of the foliage. We've improved some drainage, had to add a drain and some retaining wall to kind of improve things from running into the tennis courts and water draining onto the tennis courts. And we're trying to just reduce the weeds and improve the overall aesthetic. So the guys have been working really hard out there. I hope you guys have a chance. I mean, it's getting better each day, but I'll let you know when things are pretty much done, which will be in the coming couple weeks. And hopefully you can make a trip out there to see the work they've been doing. It looks really nice. And when that's done, they'll be coming back to the main park to rehabilitate the turf. We make some repairs in the fireman's picnic area. We've got some fences to repair and replace, and some drinking fountains to fix and replace, and a long list of things to get to that are hard to do when we have all the kids running through the park all day. So we'll be helping on that as soon as camp's over. And I wanted to just mention that two of our staff, Estevan and our newest staff member, Caesar, just completed their certified pool operator certification class a couple weeks ago. And so we have two more CPOs on staff, which is really helpful for running the pool and keeping everything managed down there. And I believe our Marco will be also updating his. He's had that, and he is to renew a little bit later this season. So it's nice to have a few more certified pool operators to help out with the pool maintenance, and I'm really proud of them for getting that done and completing that successfully. And I think that's all I wanted to touch on in my report, but please let me know if you guys have any questions or want to know about anything specific.
I have one request.
Yes.
And it's just to touch base since the kids are starting school. And it's to my understanding that it is not maintained by our maintenance contract or the landscape maintenance contract, is the walkways from the Panhandle all the way. what is the last, no, not peach stone, opal stone is the last one. And if the
Yeah, I think
guys
it's Opalstone.
is just, the guys can just go out and kind of clear them out and just make sure that it's safe for all the kids to be able to use that and not have many blind spots along the way.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Kathleen. We yeah, we can definitely get out there this next week and just see if there's anything that needs to be cleaned up. Or I know there's a pretty big bush in the on Miller Creek Road in that crosswalk area that definitely is obstructing view, which we've made plans to take out or at least chop off. So I'll make a note for us to get out there and take a look at that. I think that's a good idea.
Perfect, thank you.
And the bridge, and are we still maintaining those big bushes right by, when we walk across the bridge by the tennis courts to the school? Like, do we need to trim out anything over there?
You mean the ones that
Do we
Chris
just take
hits his
those out?
legs on when he rides his bikes at work?
You mean with
Thinking about the kids, but we could help Chris too.
Well, which one specifically? Talking about the ones that are growing through, like.
I think she was talking about the oleander on the back tennis courts, but unless I'm mistaken, it's pretty under control right now.
Is
Oh,
it
yeah,
under
those
control?
are
I
all-
haven't walked
those are all,
by in a
like,
few weeks.
out,
Yeah.
Okay, because sometimes you know how they get and then you have to go around and yeah.
I have to go to work tomorrow. I'll double check.
All right,
Okay.
yeah, let me know,
Thanks.
Chris.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to say, Luke, and this obviously goes out to you and your entire staff, that you guys do an amazing job keeping the kids of this neighborhood, and I know other neighborhoods, but you know, since we deal with this neighborhood primarily, you're keeping them healthy, you're keeping them happy, you're keeping them connected to their community. You know, where our house sits, we get a primetime view of what's going on with the camps, and it's just amazing. You know, having lived in this neighborhood for a lot of years, that those camps didn't exist, to see what you guys have done to incrementally grow those into, you know, now a county-wide recognized program of excellence is fantastic. And unless I'm mistaken, you had the U.S. Surgeon General at the pool the other day. So if he didn't make any, if he didn't, you know, give you guys any hassle, then the pool's in good shape as well.
Okay, so you need to explain that because I didn't know about that.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. I'm not gonna say anything. He may have his kids in our swim lesson program this week. That's all I'll say.
Seriously? Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
a side note.
I'll say my kids have absolutely loved the summer program, and you know, I also appreciate all of just everything that you all have done this summer and throughout the year, Luke, you and your team. I also saw the work that you guys are doing in the Creekside Park. It's quite an undertaking, and I'm really excited to see the results. So I appreciate that for sure.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely.
There is a few things in the creek that I noticed, like socks and various things, and I don't know when we're gonna go through there again.
Did you not pick them up while you were down there?
They were a little far for me, like they're in the creek. I would have had to wade through the creek, and I decided that I didn't want to wade through the creek.
Nice.
But
do you have a specific location, Savannah? 'Cause, yeah, we do go out there and we try to remove, you know,
So
trash or
it's, you know, the
debris.
cool tree that everybody climbs on. And then right underneath there's like that deep spot.
Oh, that tree.
You know, that one.
That deep,
Okay,
that deep
so
part
you
of
come
the creek.
down,
Just to the left of the other tree.
Oh my
you
God.
come down and you turn like
Behind
from
the
the
park?
playground, you come down, you turn left, and there's a tree right there on the side. See, Luke knows what I'm talking
I know
about.
what you're talking about.
And it's got all the cool branches that the kids can hang out over the creek. So right there, after the first little waterfall, it's kind of deep. And my arms I'm short and tiny, so I can't reach so far. Had I had a big net, I would have grabbed, but there's a few things here and there. And I'm sure some moms really upset that their kid came home without socks, but I just wanted to
No,
make
it's
sure
good.
before the rains come through that we pick up whatever things the boys decided to leave behind. So
Yeah,
Or
that's
girls.
good. I appreciate
Or
that. We'll check it
girl.
out. We also,
I may have seen the kid taking off the socks.
Okay, socks in the creek. Got it.
So no, but there's there's a
All
few
right.
other things there too. Yeah.
we are just, we do check periodically. It's helpful to know. So yeah, like that. So we'll check it out. But also, yeah, before the rainy season, we do an annual in-depth creek walk where we check for dam hazards and other
Yeah.
issues that we need to address. And then before the winter now, just looking at erosion concerns that we can address when the months come that are conducive to that kind of.
Okay.
So we'll check it out before that. But yeah, we do check the creek periodically.
Okay. I just want to make sure. And then to highlight, don't forget, August 19th is the last hurrah of summer music. in the park.
Thank you for saying that. I found mine to just, music in the park, and Stephen touched on this earlier, so I wanted to say this. I just didn't see my note there. So music in the park has gone really well. We've had 3 installments so far, plus our summer brew fest, and all those events have been really well attended and have gone really smoothly. And we've been really just so excited to have our summer events back up and running after that 2-year break. And our last music in the park will be a week from Friday. So next Friday from 6 to 8. And there's the music we have planned is this like pedal steel summit. We're going to have a bunch of, which is, I don't know if those who don't know what that is a pedal steel guitar. It's a guitar you play with a slide. It's got a really cool, unique sound, and we're gonna have a bunch of really expert players coming and doing a bunch of songs that with a backing band. It should be a lot of fun. So that'll be on August 19th. As far as the music series, we do have Bill Hansel booking bands for us again this year. That is done purely on a volunteer basis, and I really appreciate his help in finding some cool musical groups to come and play at the park. And I think he gets people for a fair price for what it is, and it's really nice to kind of get the variety and some different genres and some local and non-local acts. So it's a good mix, and again, that's something that he's willing to do because he enjoys it from just out of the completely for free. We're not paying him to do that. So just wanted to answer that from an earlier comment earlier in the night. So thanks for bringing that up, Sivan, and to remind me to talk about that.
And thank you for clarifying that about payments.
Yeah.
Great. Any comments from the public?
Sure, 1 second. Stephen.
Yeah, first of all, you deserve all the praise you get, Luke, for the summer camps. It's fantastic. As I said last month, I believe it's the most important work that we do. And I love the fact that the kids are having a great time in the camps as well as the pools. With regards to the pool, I've been swimming there, not as much as I have in years past. I actually think that the cleanliness of the pool is it goes up and down, and I'm glad that we have more techs watching things. But when I see clumps of hair while I'm doing laps, it's kind of grosses me out. And I'm not. I think it's a challenge because the pool is so well loved, but I think we could maybe try to do a better job with the cleanliness of the pool. With regards to programming, this is in general. We had talked in months past, think in terms of user groups, and I actually heard you use that term last month. I've been talking to different user groups. I'm wondering if you do have a user group advisory board, for example, young moms and young kids and elders and full adults and stuff, lap swimmers, rec swimmers, advising you. So when you make the changes that you do, you're actually listening to what the customers want. I just think it's a good idea. I was taken aback by this year's change in the pool schedule. It worked out okay, but I'm normally one of those swimmers that likes to swim at noon, but I had to adjust. But overall, I'm happy. With regards to parks and building maintenance, I think the way that you're reporting is kind of vague. You gave us a little bit more detail, you know, in your verbal report, but I would like to see real specified projects that you're working on each month and specified projects that you complete each month. That way we know things are moving forward. I just really kind of hate having to constantly remind you about, say, fountains needing to be fixed, and graffiti that needs to be fixed, and the park benches that need to be refreshed, and the you know, things like that. It's I see a lack of discipline in the work reporting for the parks and building maintenance. I know everyone works hard. I know you work hard, Luke, and I think you do a fantastic job in the parks, or I mean, in the camps. And I'd like to see that same level of excellence in the management of our parks effort, parks and maintenance effort. Thanks.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. Right, item H, board member items of interest and requests for future agenda items. Do we have any?
I don't have necessarily an agenda item, but I did see somebody as a attendee where names log on. Is there any way, Eric, to like reach out to find out who they are and then change their name to who they are instead of just like a username? So then if it's somebody we know or somebody whatever, then we can reach out to them if we need to. You're muted.
There's actually a very distinct set of laws that state that people don't need to give their names, and you're not to require people to give their names when they attend public meetings or make comments.
Can we ask that? I mean, can we say something like, maybe it's not, you're still muted. Maybe they don't know how to change it. It's maybe a different request too. Like if you want to share it. If not,
I can talk
fine.
to you about it. I mean, I know who that person was, and I know they don't want to change it.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
but
fine. I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying, like, I mean, it'd be nice for more people to attend for sure.
Sure.
I mean, I was excited to see you today, so thank you.
I think the question was more of like, you want to know who the person was, so you could reach out to them later on and see if they were happy with the meeting, and if they had any extra questions that you could. I think
Like,
that's what you meant, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see someone new.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited when Stephen, you partake too, but I'm just saying when other people partake, it's like, oh, it's not just us playing Hollywood Squares. So it was nice. So thanks, Eric.
No problem.
Can I be in the middle?
You
Can't you
do know,
drag
like
and
it
drop and stuff?
changes throughout the time.
I think you should be, Bill. That would be a great place for you. Especially since you always raise your hand.
And then you get kicked to, well, on mine, he gets kicked to the top left. So just keep your hand raised and you'll be top left.
All right, so any other items of interest, agenda items from the board?
Just a review from the summer that you guys were going to give us, and then an update on whether we can get the accounting audit done sooner, like if they're available to do that sooner, like you requested.
Yeah, there's we'll work towards it. You know,
Yeah.
it's not only on their end, it's on our end too. And you know,
Okay.
keeping in mind that there's two of us that
I know,
do all of
I
that
know.
amongst everything else. So
I didn't know if it was like that they are busy doing something else, or
well, they
just
audit
it was
a
our
ton
two.
of firms and
Yeah.
agencies. But yes, we're gonna try to get it done as early as we can. But we'll see how it goes.
Okay, sorry. I should have
No
phrased that better.
problem.
Oh, I did have a question. By the time we already get there, I was just wondering if we're doing after school programs again this year. And have we done the analysis on whether that's viable for us to continue doing with the costs that it is for us versus the amount of kids that are utilizing it.
Go ahead, Luke.
I mean, I'd be happy to talk about that next month, but yeah, we
Yeah.
are, just a short answer, we are operating the after school
Okay.
program again this year, similar to what we were doing in years past, but I can give you more of an update.
Yeah, let's do that for the next meeting, and then like kind of give us the breakdown of like what is the breaking point at which we decide to look at offering a different version of that, like the specialty camp kind of thing that we had talked about at one point, instead of doing aftercare. Okay,
We can talk about that.
thanks.
Right, any from the public?
Yeah, 1 second. Stephen.
Yes, two things. First of all, we did not have the Park and Rec Commission this past month. We had, nothing was said about it. So I guess for the future, I would like to know why this is so. If your meetings are on schedule, and I'm wondering why we are not having meetings, we don't get notification. And to a second point, there was an issue this month where someone in my neighborhood erected a sign in our park, 15 feet into our park, asking that people stay away from their fence. I spoke with the neighbor, but anyhow, I emailed both Eric and Luke twice, once asked him about this, and then second with a picture of it. And I never received any kind of response, not even a courtesy, we're going to get to it. I would like to know in the future, I would like to see on the agenda, what is the professional expectation that you have of our staff in addressing such issues? To me, it's very clear when we have encroachments onto our land that they get addressed immediately. But that didn't happen in this case. And I would just love to hear in the future that we are going to take such intrusions seriously, and that the staff has a professional obligation to positively engage with the public of matters like this. That's all.
Right, thank you, Stephen.
Some reason my camera stopped working, but I'm still here.
All right.
And I'll address on the P&R meeting, even though it's a personal matter and really is not the public's business, but my entire family got hit really hard with COVID and was out. And it happened right before that meeting and during the planning process. So I, in consultation with them, decided not to do it. I apologize. I didn't get the thing out, but I was busy taking care of my family.
Can I make a correction though? I don't think you decided, Eric. I think that the whole commission also agreed not to have a meeting as well and to support you in the situation that you were in.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So.
And our health always comes first, so.
Right, and Eric, I appreciate you sharing that. You didn't need to, but appreciate that as it had been brought up a couple of times. I'm glad that your family is feeling better.
Thank you.
I think we are set to adjourn.
Motion
to adjourn.
Okay.
Which
Very
one
good.
of you is going to second that? Because you kind of said it at the same time.
I'll second. I'll be second to Bill. It's
Oh,
fine.
please. No. I'll follow behind you.
No. I insist.
No.
Age
I'm
before
recording a
beauty.
four-way tie.
All right. Well, then I guess that means we are adjourned.
I
Thank you,
know.
everyone.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Good Good night.